In the feature, very exciting for us here in the States, American Logan Sargeant got his first win in Formula 2. He's the first American F2 winner ever, and the first to win at this sort of level. Of course, I think it was 2017 when GP2 became Formula 2, if I'm not mistaken, right? So
Yep.
Alexander Rossi was the last winner before that in 2015. Sargeant, we know, still has Formula 1 ambitions. So, I want to ask you, Josh, speaking of Andretti and, all the rumors that are still circulating with Colton Herta, we look at Logan right now. He's third in points, and obviously is coming off of the momentum of this win that he just picked up this weekend. So has he overtaken Colton Herta in your mind as the best hope for an American F1 driver?
We mentioned this right at the beginning of the season when the Grid Encore launched as well. I said Logan Sargeant had a great opening weekend in Bahrain. And I think this is his first F2 win as well. I do think as well that we are going to see Logan Sargeant. In my opinion, he has overtaken Colton Herta as the next lead. Herta's done incredibly well in IndyCar, but he's had a difficult season this year. So we've got Logan Sargeant, who is racing on these European tracks. He's got the data as well. He's doing extremely well. He's now got a win under his belt, and he's been fast and consistent all year long. I would put Logan Sargeant in the Haas if they're looking to replace Kevin Magnussen for next season. If Magnussen's just a one-year deal, I'd get Sargeant in there as well alongside Schumacher. That could be a very tasty lineup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's been great to see Logan Sargeant in F2 this season have such a great year. Finally, get that weight off his shoulders with that win. And I think we had a comment come in from Joe as well, talking about what was going on with Andretti yesterday. And I think Andretti Auto Scraps definitely summarizes their weekend very well. Michael was certainly not a very happy guy. I got to tell you, I've been very impressed with Colton Herta's speed. Obviously, it's just that the consistency seems to be lacking. And in fairness to him, I think that's been an issue, all throughout Andretti Autosport for the last several years. But, I think obviously he certainly has the potential, and we'll see, hopefully keep your fingers crossed that this Andretti Global entry is allowed to go through. But if it isn't, I think you have to look at a guy who's much more directly linked on that side of the ocean here, and look at that world and what Logan Sargeant could possibly have opportunities with. He's with the Williams Driver Academy, of course. And like you mentioned, I'm sure Haas are going to have an opening sooner rather than later here.
If Latifi goes, then if Latifi goes, I would actually put De Vries in that seat. But if De Vries is still locked in with the Mercedes side of things as well, and they put him in DTM, I would get Sargeant in at Williams then. So he's got options. He's got a load of options as well. Do you want to take that?
Yeah. Well, and Kobe bringing up here, Sargeant has a great potential. He's about to race for Foyt in IndyCar before the last minute F2 seat. That, I think, is Sargent's biggest hurdle. I think the talent is certainly there. It's the funding that's the question. So, we talk about, the ties that he has with Williams. If you want to talk about him maybe replacing Latifi, I think on paper, in terms of performance, you could make that argument. The only problem is the main reason Latifi has that seat, of course, it's the old pay driver situation there. And I severely doubt that unless a miracle happens and he gets some partners to come on very quickly, Sargeant is going to be able to compete with that. So, the situation Williams have been in the last few years, they certainly need the funding that Latifi brings. Then again, Latifi hasn't exactly performed at the level that I think Williams would have liked him to. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this sorts out. Of course, if Sargeant were to somehow make up enough points on Drogovic to win the championship, then it's a really difficult situation to justify not putting him in a Formula One car next season.